Let's move on to the latest on Johnny Gaudreau and what's happening with the Calgary Flames. Mike, I reported this morning that the Calgary Flames have tabled an offer to Johnny Gaudreau and increased it in the last 24 hours. My sense is somewhere north of $10 million a year on an 8-year deal, and that would make him not only the highest paid player in Calgary Flames history, but in addition to that, one of the very highest paid players of all time in the NHL. Johnny Gaudreau, this is coming down to the wire. We mentioned the clock, and it's now less than 12 hours away from them getting something done with their final stretch of ability to offer an 8-year deal. What's your sense of where this is heading when you see this play out the way that it has? I said yesterday, the term I used was, if he's coming back, he's had a really funny way of showing the Calgary Flames that he wants to. But I think the fact that they've, potentially engaged here in the last 24 hours a little bit more on some of that dialogue and an increased offer, it sort of makes you wonder, is something that didn't seem like it was about the money, something suddenly about the money?
Maybe if that extra 8, 10, 12, however many million bucks you're going to be able to slip in on the back end of the deal, maybe it is more enticing than we think. And, it's gone from yesterday. I was thinking about the John Tavares deal to today, starting to think about Steven Stamkos signing his deal to remain in Tampa Bay. And that was a huge decision several years ago, quite some time, it seems like at this point. And, frankly, when you get closer to having to make decisions on where to sign a contract, your heartstrings start to pull at you a little bit harder, and it always seems like a good idea to go test free agency or maybe entertain the thought of going home if that's the Eastern Seaboard, whether it's the Flyers, Devils, Islanders, take your pick, any of these teams that would want Johnny Gaudreau. You have to start really thinking about it when you get down to the wire. And that's where I think a little more money when you get that 8th year involved. I mean, geez, you could be talking about potentially $70 million versus $80 million. And you're going from your kids' lives taken care of to now your grandkids' lives taken care of if you have them. So it starts to factor, Frank, but I still think what it's going to ultimately come down to is the gut feeling of Gaudreau. Where does he want to spend the rest of his career? I think the dollars matter, but it's still a gut feeling.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look, if you're getting, let's just speak in hypotheticals here. I don't know, 7 years times 9 million, that's 63 bucks somewhere. And you also have an offer for, let's call it 10 and a half or 11 million a year times 8 in Calgary. Is that extra 20 or 25 million when you've already earned north of $100 million in your career, regardless, going to change, one way or the other, your life and how it goes? Like, to me, probably not. And it's easy to say when I don't have that pile of cash, but he's already a very wealthy man. What more do you need? I would think that it all comes down to fit instead of that last, cash grab. But I mean, it's also, like I said, easy to say because I'm not in those shoes, to leave
Dude,
potentially 20 or 25 million on the table.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd love a wake surfing boat, but that's going to take an awful lot for me to pull it off. He could have 18 of those, I think, if he gets the extra 20. So, I mean, money's money, man. Like once you make a lot, you still always crave more. And if it's out there, why wouldn't you grab it? So, man, I'm envious that I'm not in this position because it's going to be a really difficult decision, I'm sure, no matter which way he has. And, you try not to have regrets. I'm sure there won't be, but there'll be things that definitely will sting in either direction of this decision for Gaudreau.
Yeah, coming down to the wire, and I kind of feel for the Calgary Flames at this point. They've put their best foot forward. They have the backing of ownership in Murray Edwards to go out and get this done. They're sitting there waiting with the checkbook. They've been waiting for 6 or 7 weeks now. They've backed the Brinks truck up, and yet to this point, it's still been idling in the driveway of Johnny Gaudreau at the Jersey Shore there. So we'll see what happens, and we'll talk a little bit later in Icebreakers about the potential of the Philadelphia Flyers or the New York Islanders and the New Jersey Devils, how they could potentially clear some cap space in order to go after Johnny Gaudreau. That's coming up in just a little bit.